Growing up in a small town with folks who believed in hard work over anything fancy, I was your typical girl next door, Margie. My family wasn't rich, but we were happy, and they instilled in me the value of hard work from a young age. After college, chasing a slice of independence, I moved to a bigger city, a place that felt like a different world. It was there my life took a turn I never saw coming. I landed a job as a sales manager at a big company, which was a big deal for a small-town girl like me. The job was demanding, but I thrived on the challenge. Unlike my peers, who were all about hitting the clubs after work, I was more likely to be found curled up with a book or working overtime. That was until David walked into my life. David was everything I didn't know I was looking for. He was charming, with a smile that could light up the darkest rooms, and a sense of humor that could make anyone laugh. We met through work, and what started as casual coffee breaks turned into long dinners, and before I knew it, I was head over heels. I can't believe how lucky I am, I remember telling him one evening as we walked along the river, the city lights reflecting like stars in the water. Believe it, Margie. You're the best thing that's happened to me, he said, his hand finding mine. It wasn't long before we got married. It was a simple ceremony, nothing too fancy, just how we liked it. Our daughter, Lily, came into our lives not long after, and suddenly, our little family felt complete. Life was good. David and I found joy in the simple things. We'd take Lily out on weekends with our mobile home, exploring the outskirts of the city, or sometimes just walking in the park, letting her chase the pigeons while we walked hand in hand. But it wasn't all play. Balancing work and family life was tough. After Lily was born, I switched to working half days to be there for her more. David was supportive, always saying, "Do what you need to, babe. We'll make it work." And we did. We were a team, tackling household chores together, making meals, and taking care of Lily. David's parents were a big help too. They adored Lily and were always there when we needed a hand. "You two are doing great," David's mom would often say. "It's not easy, but you're making it look like it is." It felt like we had everything figured out. But life has a way of throwing curveballs when you least expect it. One evening, as we were cleaning up after dinner, David mentioned working late more often. "The project's picking up steam. Gonna need to put in extra hours," he said, almost apologetically. I understood, or at least I tried to. "We'll manage. Just don't work yourself too hard," I replied, trying to keep the worry out of my voice. The shift was gradual, like the slow buildup of clouds before a storm, unnoticed until the downpour is upon you. David's late nights became more frequent, and the warmth that used to fill our home started to cool. I tried to shrug it off, telling myself it was just the stress of his job. But deep down, I knew something was off. Lily started asking more about her dad. "Why isn't Daddy home for dinner?" Her innocent questions were like punches to my gut. I did my best to soothe her. "Daddy's got to work, sweetie. He'll be home soon." But the soon stretched longer and longer. One day, I got held up at work, something I couldn't avoid. I called David, hoping he could pick up Lily from school. His reaction was like a slap across my face. "What do you mean you're stuck? Can't you see I'm swamped? Handle your own mess," he snapped over the phone, before hanging up. Tears stung my eyes, not just from his words, but from the shock of hearing him talk to me like that. I'd never seen this side of him. Panicking, I called his mom. "Hey, it's me. I'm in a bind. Can you grab Lily from school?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "Of course, dear. Is everything all right with David?" she replied, concern evident in her voice. "Yeah, just work stuff." "Thanks, I owe you one," I managed, feeling a mix of relief and embarrassment. As days turned into weeks, David's detachment grew. He wasn't just absent physically, but emotionally too. Our home felt like a house with no life in it. I tried talking to him, reaching out, trying to bridge the gap that kept widening between us. "David, we need to talk. This whatever this is, it's not working. Lily misses you, I miss you, I said one night, mustering all the courage I had. He barely looked at me, his eyes glued to his phone. What do you want from me, Margie? I'm here, aren't I? Just tired, that's all. He muttered, his tone dismissive. But that's just it, you're here but not really. You don't talk to us, to me. What's going on? I pressed, desperate for any crumb of affection or concern. Nothing's going on. Drop it, he snapped, standing up to leave the room. His indifference was a bitter pill to swallow. I lay awake that night, listening to the silence of our home, a stark contrast to the laughter and love that used to fill it. The change in David wasn't just hurting me, it was affecting Lily too. She became quieter, her bright spark dimming with each day her father pushed us away. It wasn't just the emotional distance, David stopped helping around the house altogether. Tasks we used to share now fell squarely on my shoulders. I felt like a single parent. Why doesn't Daddy play with me anymore? Lily's voice broke through my thoughts one evening as I washed the dishes. I turned to her, forcing a smile. Daddy's just busy, honey. But we can play, what do you say? Your choice of game, I offered, trying to mask the ache in my heart. She nodded, a small smile on her lips, but her eyes were searching, looking for the father she adored and missed. The divide between us grew, and with it, my loneliness. I turned to David's parents for support, spending more time at their place just to feel some connection to the man I married. They noticed the change too, but were at a loss on how to help. It's just a rough patch, dear. Every marriage has them. David's mom tried to reassure me, but her eyes told a different story, one filled with concern and uncertainty. As the days passed, the silence in our home grew louder, a stark reminder of the rift between David and me. I clung to the hope that maybe, just maybe, things could go back to how they were. In a desperate attempt to break through the ice that had formed around us, I planned a surprise. I bought tickets to a local music show, thinking it could reignite the spark we once had. The moment I told David about the surprise, his reaction was far from what I had hoped for. A music show? Seriously, Margie? You know I'm swamped with work. I don't have time for this, he said, barely looking up from his laptop. But it's been ages since we did something as a family. Lily would love it, and I thought it could be a nice break for us, together, I replied, trying to keep my voice steady despite the hurt his words caused. Great, another thing to add to my never-ending to-do list. Thanks, but I'll pass. You two go and have fun, he said dismissively, turning his attention back to his work. I stood there, feeling like a fool. The rejection stung, not just because he didn't want to go, but because it felt like he didn't want to spend time with us at all. Lily, sensing the tension, came over and tugged at my hand. Is Daddy not coming with us, Mommy? She asked, her big eyes filled with confusion. I forced a smile, bending down to her level. It's just going to be a girls' night out. We'll have fun, just you and me, I said, trying to sound more excited than I felt. Lily nodded, though I could tell she was disappointed. It broke my heart to see her having to adjust to this new version of her father. As David's absences became more frequent, I found myself fighting a lonely battle to keep our family together. He started leaving for the entire weekend, claiming work demanded it. Another weekend? David, this is getting ridiculous. You're never home anymore. Lily keeps asking about you. I confronted him one evening. Look, I don't need this right now, Margie. Work is crazy, and I'm doing the best I can. Maybe if you were a little more understanding instead of constantly nagging, things would be better, he retorted, his words dripping with annoyance. Nagging? I'm trying to have a conversation about our family, about us. You're hardly here, and when you are, you're like a ghost. How is that fair to Lily or me? I shot back, my frustration boiling over. Just leave it, Margie. You wouldn't understand, he said before walking out, leaving me standing there, fuming and feeling more alone than ever. The evenings he claimed to spend with colleagues